welcome to Take Up and Read. My name is Joe Chrisman, and on today's episode, we are playing a game. Both Chris and I have prepared and brought our 5 books that we would bring with us if we were trapped on a desert island. This is a classic game, and we thought it'd be fun to have a little conversation about what would be the 5 books if we could only pick 5. Precious real estate in this hypothetical scenario where we have enough time to plan, and yet we still end up on a desert island. The rules are as follows. You only get 5, and there's no weird like cheating of I'm going to have 1 volume of a 66 volume set and it includes all of them. You only get 5 books.
What about 1 volume of a 3 volume set?
No, you don't get 1 volume of the 3. Are you doing this because you know what's coming up in a moment?
I would never.
Okay, well, technically, it was intended as 1 book, so it counts. There are 5 books per person. The caveat is we both get Bibles. So the Bible is already there. So we have our Bibles. Otherwise, we would all choose a Bible. So we have a Bible. We get 5 additional books. Chris, I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to start with kind of my work on theology that I wanted to be able to bring with me, which is the Westminster Standards. I am wanting to make sure I have a source of good theological study, something that's going to be able to be food for my soul. And the Westminster Standards is just the best that you can get. It's the cream of the crop. And yes, we subscribe to it. We're accountable to it as pastors in the PCA, but I really do love these documents. The Westminster Standards is my choice. How about you? What's your first book?
Yeah, I definitely second that in a slightly different way. I would take Chad Van Dixhoorn's Creeds and Confessions, just because that's the Westminster Standards, but then you also get many others, but in particular, what I want is I also want to include the Heidelberg Catechism to get the wonderful pastoral touch on that great Reformed theology. So I'll take Van Dixhoorn's Creeds and Confessions.
Like legal cheating is one volume that kind of brings all these things together, but it happens to be published as one, so it counts. I'll allow it, but I will just say this: I don't need the Heidelberg because I have the Westminster. Westminster is supreme. So I see your point. You one-upped me. Good job, Chris. But I still think Westminster Standards is sufficient, so I'm happy for that. My second book is a book that's really near and dear to my heart. It's become more popular in recent years. I feel like I've heard of some guys we know and respect and work with who have kind of either discovered it or at least been using it more in their ministries. It's by Martyn Lloyd-Jones, Spiritual Depression, Its Causes and Cures. This book is actually a collection of sermons that Martyn Lloyd-Jones preached. And you can actually go on the MLJ Trust website and listen to the sermons, which I'd highly recommend. They're really wonderful sermons to listen to. But if you like to read, they compiled it in a book. And this book I have read several times. It's not common for me to reread books often. This one has gotten several attempts or several rereads. I'm a big fan of this book. It's just been tremendous for my own soul. It deals with the topic of spiritual depression, but also it's really good about spiritual maturity, Christian theology applied to Christian life and suffering and doubts and lacking assurance and all of those good things. So this book is great. And if I'm stranded on a desert island, I'm assuming I'm going to maybe need some of this book to return to often. So Spiritual Depression, Its Causes and Cures is my second book. How about you?
Yeah, following in a similar vein of just caring for our souls, I would take the Valley of Vision collection of Puritan prayers and devotionals. Love that book. Use it often in personal worship and referencing in different ways, but I would definitely want that with me.
Awesome book. Yeah, big fan of that. Talking about personal devotion and continuing on that theme, I've got a hymnal. I feel like if I'm going to be alone, hymnal just hits multiple boxes for me. I'm choosing the Trinity Psalter hymnal. I have this gorgeous copy, which is put together by my buddy David over at Cherry Hill Bibles. The Trinity Psalter hymnal is, by any account, historically, is a more modern hymnal. It's been put together more recently, but it contains hymns of old and is filled with the best of the best. It still has some newer hymns, so In Christ Alone is in here, which is always kind of feel like people's rubric when they're measuring a hymnal in terms of does it have some of the best new stuff. They're like, well, is In Christ Alone in there? And so In Christ Alone, there's some really good songs by the Gettys in here, as well as other modern hymn writers, but it's got the best of the old hymnal, as well as having a psalter in here, which is what I think really sets this apart from all the other kind of newer hymnals that are out there. It's got the full Psalter, you get the best hymns. It's really wonderful. So not only would I have this in terms of having a songbook, which would be great, I love hymnals as devotionals, as prayer books. They are just so multifaceted. You can use them in so many different ways. So I think having a hymnal would really just be a wonderful resource if I am trapped on this desert island for some reason. So big fan of this. And actually the TPH has all the documents now that I'm looking that you referenced, the Heidelberg and the Westminster Standards. So maybe I left something on the table by taking the standard.
You're double dipping.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. So Trinity Psalter Hymnal is my third book.
Nice. Well, I'll follow in a similar vein, though I have no shame, so I'll pick something even slightly more modern than the Trinity Psalter Hymnal. I'm really excited about the Getty Sing Hymnal that was just recently published by Crossway. It does have fewer, but some of the older classical ones you mentioned, and many more of the newer, more contemporary ones, but many songs that I love and that have been important to me in my own spiritual development. So I'd pick that one to take with me.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we actually at Redeemer at our church here in Grove, we have the Trinity Psalter Hymnal, but I've actually acquired the Sing Hymnal as well, because there are songs in the Sing Hymnal that aren't in the TPH that we want to be able to sing. Things like He Will Hold Me Fast or His Mercy is More. And so our plan is just to, in any given week, if we're using a song that's only in the Sing Hymnal, we'll put the Sing Hymnals out. Otherwise, we'll put the Trinity Psalter Hymnals out. We're going to use both of them because they're both excellent. But if I can only get one, the TPH is the superior hymnal. Just objective.
So you're telling me in lieu of screens, you get 2 hymnals.
But that being said, next book for me, this is a classic book. This is theology. This is stirring the imagination. This is feeding my own soul. This is Pilgrim's Progress, which obviously doesn't need a description, but is just a classic work by Bunyan about the Christian life. I recommend this often to Christians in the church, as well as just friends who are in ministry. Like, this is a book you should read every year. You should make an attempt to read this every year, or at least every other year. The categories that it gives you for understanding this Christian life, the application value it has, just the great storytelling it is. This is a wonderful book. And so I would love to have Pilgrim's Progress with me on this island.
Yeah. The next one I take with me is again, it's similar, but actually Randy Alcorn wrote kind of his own take on the Pilgrim's Progress. So it's a really similar type of story, but different scenarios, different names that are used both for people and the situations that the characters are dealing with there. But I was deeply moved and impacted having read that book a while ago, and was just a wonderful read. So I think I'd take that one with me. It's called Edge of Eternity.
I have not heard of that. I'll have to check it out. Final book for me, and this is the one that you were trying to give me a hard time at the top of the episode, saying it was 3 in 1, but it was intended to be one book by the author, and that is The Lord of the Rings, which again, my buddy David made this beautiful leather-bound edition of The Lord of the Rings for me, which has all 3 books in it. But if I'm going to be on the island, I want something that I can enjoy and get lost in and spend a lot of time reading, because I got a lot of time on my hands. And this book, again, there's plenty of spiritual value to reading The Lord of the Rings in terms of the imagery and the categories that are clearly applicable to the Christian life. That being said, it's just, I don't know how you get any better. It's The Lord of the Rings. Like, this is the best that you can get in terms of just reading enjoyment. And so I highly recommend this. If you have not read The Lord of the Rings, if you have not gotten into it, like, stop watching, go get The Lord of the Rings. And I would love to have this with me and just be able to read it time and time and time again and take all the time to really soak in it as best I can. So, final book, Lord of the Rings.
Well, I'm going to have to log off on that note because I have not read The Lord of the Rings.
There you go.
But I hear it's the best, apparently. I would love to, and it's tempting to take something like that with me on Desert Island, but I can't. I haven't read it to know if I would. But maybe that's the perfect book to take with me then, since I haven't read it. But I'll stick with something I have read, and I'll go more kind of the route of church history. But to get a nice breadth of it, I'd probably take John Piper's book, The version I currently have is 21 Servants of Sovereign Joy. I think we're up to 27 now in one volume, 27 Servants of Sovereign Joy. So short biographies, different people from church history, their life, their impact, things, particular themes or doctrines that they were really known for and helped develop. And so I just love the breadth of the book that you get right there in one volume. So I think I'd take that one with me.
Wow. That's yeah, it's a great book. I did not expect you to have that collection of resources from Piper in your stack. You've got a book from Piper and a book I've never heard about from Randy Alcorn in your top 5. This is exciting to hear our list be different. I thought for sure we'd be exactly the same. And not only that, to hear some books that I probably should go check out and take a look at. I'm just imagining that you're learning more about Martin Luther and John Calvin, and eventually the coconuts are going to have faces on them, and you're going to be talking to all of your new friends that you have learned about from Piper's volume, because
yes, well,
it's going to push you to the extremes.
I'll have 27 coconuts with me, so
Go.
It'll work.
Plenty of time to get to know them very well and fill in any backstory you might not know. Well, Chris, this is great. Hopefully we never actually have to live out this exercise, but I think it's fun to be able to play this game. I posted this a couple years ago on my Facebook and had a bunch of PCA pastors jump on. It was a lot of fun. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, feel free to drop down in the comments what are your 5 books you'd pick. And I'd love to be able to engage with you in the comments. And perhaps, who knows, maybe we at a later date video could revisit this and see maybe there's an idea that Chris and I haven't thought about that we can add to our list and change it. But until then, take some time to go find a good book, The Lord of the Rings, and enjoy reading. Thanks.